This is a second stimulus check update. I'm constantly asked two questions in my comments section: how much and when? So I'll answer those two questions for you. But first, if you have not yet received a paper check with the first stimulus, today, June 5th, is when it's going to be mailed out. It could take up to 14 days delivery time if you make less than $70,000. And still, every single week, millions of Americans are still filing for unemployment. It's over 42 million claims now. But as you see, the peak already reached and the rate is going down, but there's still millions of Americans every single week. So it could be kind of confusing. In the news, you may hear that the unemployment claims are going down, but still, out of 42.6 million, if we look here, out of it's 1/3 of Americans who are on unemployment haven't yet received a single paycheck yet for their unemployment claim. That's around 14 million Americans who haven't yet received anything when they applied for it back in March, because states are backed up and they can't handle the volume. Also, they may not even have the money to pay for these unemployment claims, which brings up serious financial issues for Americans because grocery prices are going up. Not sure if you've known that, but because of the closure of many meat processing facilities, there's been a lot of increases. So in terms of beef prices went up 4.2%, poultry 4.7%, and millions of Americans aren't able to pay their rent and facing evictions. And these numbers are pretty scary as well, with nearly half of renters and 18% of homeowners with less than $500 in emergency savings. 25% are taking on debt. So with the country shut down for 2 to 3 months, people not working, not getting unemployment checks, rent being skipped, evictions happening, any rational person would see that Americans are in trouble. 31% of homeowners and 49% of renters are living paycheck to paycheck before the pandemic happened. So with barely any savings to cover a type of thing with the pandemic and to barely pay for rent, food, unemployment claims not coming, any rational person could see that Americans are struggling. And unfortunately, the people we elected in office, the people who have the power to help the American people, are so far removed, they're living in a fantasy land, that they have no idea what Americans are going through on a day-to-day basis. Before I get into the second stimulus check updates, I just want to clear up some confusion. So I got in this comment, my comments 7 hours ago, Kathy Marks said, I would really like to know if we are getting another stimulus package. I got the first one, but they keep talking about a second one. Is it true or not? Also, Neil Williams commented, thank you for the comment, Kathy, by the way. When we get our second stimulus check, is it going to be retroactive from March? So there's still a lot of confusion about the second stimulus check. On this channel, if you're new here, I just provide accurate facts to inform you of what is going on in terms of getting a second stimulus check. And if you watch my previous videos, thank you so much for your support, but not everybody knows what's going on. A lot of people are confused because there's a lot of misinformation, so they turn to YouTube to find out the truth. And I just want to let you know, this channel, I just talk about facts, and it's unbiased. I'm an independent. I'm not Republican or Democrat. My loyalty is to the people, not any party or ideology. So to sum it up really quick, the HEROES Act, which would be your second stimulus check, it passed in the House. Now it needs to pass in the Senate, and then the president needs to sign it, and then everybody gets their money. In terms of how much, if you make less than $75,000, you'll get a one-time check of $1,200, $2,400 for couples, and any dependent, like a child, you would get $1,200 per dependent, and adult dependents are eligible for a stimulus check this round. So now let's answer the question of when you could expect a second stimulus check. I'll be honest, it's not going to be anytime soon, and there's no definite date yet. So if we look at the reasons why someone would oppose a second stimulus check. So here are some of the comments of what people are saying about a second stimulus check. I'm not enthused about another round of rebate checks. I do believe we should be helping people on Social Security because the price of food has gone up and I don't see any end in sight. That's according to Lindsey Graham. And then at the time, the country was entering lockdown and the whole world was scrambling to slow down the spread of the coronavirus. And that's from James Langford. And then I don't think we should set up a situation where we're doing a check month after month. When I mentioned before that the HEROES Act would need to pass in the Senate, it is up to Senate Republicans to revise the HEROES Act so that they like it enough to then pass. The reason why is because Republicans are the majority in the Senate, therefore they have the biggest say. So the reason why the HEROES Act isn't passing through the Senate and the Republicans don't like it is because of this. If we look, this is $3 trillion, and as you could see, there's really not much that goes directly to the American people as a direct payment, like the $1,200 paycheck. So with a lot of Americans struggling, this bill isn't really going to help. So the Democrats made a big mistake here in having a lot of fluff and pork, as some people say, because it is not going to help the American people the most. A lot of this stuff could wait a few months, but the Americans need a direct payment now. The Republicans are looking at more of a $1 trillion stimulus package. So Senate Majority Mitch McConnell has told Trump officials behind closed doors, so this is an official quote, that they want it to be under $1 trillion. So the big question is, when can you expect a second stimulus check? It's not going to be tomorrow, next week, or this month. So they're talking about maybe passing it mid-July or even talking about it mid-July, although they're out of office again from July 3rd up until July 20th. So that's over 2 weeks of vacation time there during this crisis. So to be clear, a second stimulus check is not coming anytime soon, and there's no definite date. Unfortunately, what it comes down to is poor people suffering, rich people talking. So according to The Hill, Republicans worry that high unemployment numbers heading into November elections will make it tougher for incumbents, putting the GOP majority at risk. Republicans have to protect Senate 23 seats, while Democrats only have to defend 12 seats. So as you see, it comes down to elections, which is in about 5 months in November. If the elections weren't happening, maybe they would be more generous, but the way that they're playing this is to maintain their party. As I mentioned, I'm an independent. I don't care about Republicans or Democrats. If it was up to me, I would get them all out of there and wipe the slate clean and get rid of term limits. Because the reason why this is so important is with the elections is because they want to play the game right so that they can help out their party, Republican or Democrat, and make sure that they have the majority and then not the minority. Otherwise, they lose power. Unfortunately, politicians only care about 3 things. The first is to get reelected. So once they're in office, they want to remain in power and get reelected again and again. Second is special interest money. So that's money from the oil companies or pharmaceutical companies, which pay the politicians to then have another campaign to get reelected. And then third is to seek higher office. Once they're in office, they always want to get to the next position, more power, more power. Unfortunately, out of those 3 things, the American people aren't there. If the politicians really cared about the American people, they would risk their reputation as well as their jobs in order to help the American people first, compared to maintaining a position of power. And if you want the latest second stimulus check updates, you could click this playlist over here or this video over here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.